I used to think I knew what my life was. A neat calendar. Shared bills. Inside jokes that could land a room. I thought trust was a muscle we had built so strong it would never tear. My wife, Claire, is the kind of person people orbit. Quick smile. Quicker wit. We met on a Wednesday and stopped being careful by Friday. 4 years later, we split chores and dreams like grown-ups. And I told myself luck had finally learned my name. The first red flag didn't look red. It looked like overtime. Launch week, she said, kissing my temple on her way out. She left her coat on the chair, and I tucked it on the hook like always. A receipt slid out of the pocket. A hotel 2 blocks from her office. 2 drinks. 1 room. Tuesday. I laughed the kind you do when a thought is ridiculous, and you need your own body to agree. I put the receipt back and folded the disbelief around it. After that, the calendar got crowded. Late meetings. A new perfume that was not ours. A second phone charger that lived in her bag. I started sleeping lighter. I didn't tell anyone, because saying it out loud might make it true. One Friday, I left work early. I told no one. I wanted to be the cliché that ends well. Flowers, her favorite takeout, movie on the couch, a normal night to drown the noise. I took the long way past her office, past the hotel I had decided not to notice. And then I noticed her through the glass at the bar, laughing with someone I knew. It wasn't a stranger. It was Miles, my friend from before we have 100 photos together and 200 dumb stories that still make sense out loud. He leaned in, and she didn't lean back. I stood outside long enough to memorize the shape of the moment. Then I walked in, because if the ground was going to drop, I wanted to feel the fall. "Hey," I said, like a person asking for the check. Claire blinked, then breathed my name like it had too many syllables. Miles gripped his glass as if it could explain him. No one moved. "Work drink?" I asked. Silence is honest when it arrives first. Miles tried courage. It's complicated, and I let the word sit between us like a wet coat. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't perform. I looked at the bartender, paid for all 3 drinks, and left a tip that could have been an apology to the room. I told them both I'd be home in an hour and hoped neither of them would be. At the apartment, I put her keys on the table and mine beside them. I took a breath that felt like a cut. I packed a bag like a person who had learned to travel light. Claire came home alone. "No Miles." She started with the truth in pieces. "It started after your dad got sick. I didn't know how to talk about fear without turning you into it." Miles checked in. I told myself it was comfort, not a choice. A month, then 3, then the math I had already done. I wanted to be the version of me that could forgive on the spot. I wanted to be the version of me that had never seen the hotel. Instead, I was the version sitting at our table with a hotel receipt in my pocket, a code hook empty, and a future that had just lost its shape. We tried the script couples dry. Boundaries. Counseling names. Time apart that lives in the same lease. She cried into her hands, and I stared at the plant I always forgot to water. The therapist was kind in a way that felt expensive and not enough. We said words like repair and rupture and accountability. We counted weeks on our fingers, like middle schoolers, promising to meet in the middle next time. Here is the part I did not expect. The worst wound wasn't the kiss. It was the math of it. The lies built into ordinary Tuesdays. The way my memory had to be refiled. Anniversaries with hidden exits. Ordinary dinners paired with someone else's after hours. I met Miles in a public place. Daylight loud enough to keep us from pretending. He talked first, like he could outrun what he'd done. He said I had drifted, that grief had changed my gravity. He said he hadn't meant for any of this to happen. People love that sentence. I asked him when the first message crossed the line. He gave me 3 dates as if one would sound merciful. I told him we were done long before the kiss. The kiss only sent the email to the right folder. I moved into a small place with creaky floors that tell the truth when you walk. I bought 2 bowls, 2 plates, and slept like a person who was learning to breathe with fewer nouns. I told my mother we were pausing, then told her we were not. Friends took sides they swore were principles. I stacked the days until they looked like a life. Claire wrote once more a letter on paper, because screens were too clean for this. She said she was sorry, that sorry was small, that she was small when she needed to be honest, that she hoped I would be huge. She didn't ask for me back. Sometimes love is knowing when not to. I am not here to name villains. Betrayal is a group project graded on different curves. I did not cause this, but I carried pieces of it. The silence when I was scared, The way I held my breath when I should have held her hand. None of that made their choice mine. Now, my apartment has a terrible view of a brick wall that turns gold at exactly 612 p.m. I water the plant. I learn the names of my neighbor's dogs. I cook food that tastes like I did it on purpose. Trust does not come back as a parade. It returns like a stray cat, skittish, hungry, suspicious of open doors. So here is the only question I have left, and it isn't a test. When the truth arrives wearing people you love, do you try to rebuild with the same bricks? Or do you walk until the ground under you feels honest again?